Hey guys, in this video I have the Pandora's Box 4S arcade console system. It's an all-in-one arcade solution that plugs up to your LCD TV or monitor via HDMI or VGA. It has a two-player control panel with 680 games built in. It's basically like an X-Arcade but with built-in games. The games list is quite extensive. It features games mostly from Neo Geo and Capcom CPS. In the lineup of almost 700 games, there are many genres of games from fighters to shoot 'em ups to puzzles, arcade classics. There should be games there that should appeal to everyone. This unit is a complete arcade in a box. You can take it to your friend's house and hook it up to their TV or monitor. It has built-in speakers or a 3.5mm headphone jack if you want to play quietly without disturbing people. Once the arcade is booted up, you can select games with your control stick and hit A to select it. There is a preview for each of the games so you have an idea what the game is about. The joysticks are decent, however the buttons are mediocre at best. They require a bit more force to push them in, and I found a couple of them more sticky. You can of course upgrade them to real Sanwa sticks and buttons if you want, and I would highly recommend that you do that. The main buttons for the Player 1 and Player 2 controllers are just standard 30mm push buttons. I have a few Sanwa 30mm left from an arcade build, so I'll probably swap them out in the future. This arcade system is a newer, updated model. Previous versions had a much larger enclosure that was much taller to accommodate the Pandora 4S box and power supply. However, the newer models just have the Pandora 4S circuit board with housing stripped out of it, and there is no JAMA interface. It also uses an external 12-volt power supply. Because of this, the enclosure is much lighter and lower profile. In terms of performance, I'm actually very impressed in that most of the games run at full speed. There was a couple of games that appeared to slow down when lots of sprites were on the screen, but most didn't have any issues at all. I've built a couple of mini arcades or bar tops from scratch over the years, and the Pandora arcade system is not a bad price considering the time and cost of building one on your own. It's all ready to go, just plug and play. You can get this arcade system for about $200 direct from China or about $300 on Amazon or eBay. Links will be in the description if you're interested in picking one up. The Pandora's Box 4S is pretty simple, so there isn't a lot of configuration, but there are a few things you can change via the system settings by pressing a small button on the front. Once you're in the system settings, you can modify things like how many credits for coin mode or enabling free play for unlimited credits. You can also turn on graphic smoothing by turning on quality optimization. This will make the games look less pixelated. In the game settings, you can set the difficulty and number of lives for each individual game. You can also hide or display certain games. You can select the games you want to hide from the main list by pressing A on the selected game. You can also set up your favorites. By placing a star next to the game, they'll show up at the top of the main list. You can have up to 30 favorites. This will give you a quicker access to games you play most. It's definitely a nice feature when you have 680 games to choose from. I wish that the favorites list could actually be increased to 100. So after you're done making any changes, you do have to save it and then reboot the machine. Now you'll see that all the games that I favorited are right at the top of the screen. Even though you can skip pages by pushing left or right, having a favorites list can give you much quicker access to your top 30 games. Once you have the game you want to play selected, hit the A button to start it. Load times vary per game, but it's not very long. Even though you're in free play mode, you still have to press the coin button to add credits, and then you press player 1 to start. Like I mentioned before, I think the only negative thing about this arcade system is the buttons. They do require a bit more force to push them in. I think they're all like that to keep the cost down, so upgrading the buttons should be something you might consider if it matters to you. There is also a bit of screen tearing, but it doesn't bother me. It could just be a sync issue with my television monitor. I wish I could show you all the games available in this system, but the video would be very long, so I'll just show you a few clips of me playing it. There are a lot of games. I sometimes find myself wasting a lot of time deciding what to play, but that's a nice problem to have. Pretty much every game I can think of is in here. There is a vast assortment of shoot 'em up games, whether they're side-scrolling or vertical. from Midway's 1943 to R-Type. The audio that you're hearing is coming from the onboard speakers. It's a nice touch since you can use a computer LCD monitor that may not have speakers. When using it with a television, the audio will go through the HDMI cable. This is a great system to have at parties. With its vast selection of games, there's a game for everyone. The arcade games span many decades from the 80s to the 2000s. This arcade system is a good option for people who are wanting an arcade in the home but who may not have the room for a full-size cabinet. When I'm done with this arcade, I just put it under my desk, out of the way. If you're into fighting games like Street Fighter, it has all the arcade fighters except Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat. For some reason, they're missing from the lineup. Anyways, that's it for this review. Share, comment, like, or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.